because I've seen a lot of videos just about people talking about people in their single season. It's always just like, oh, enjoy it, oh, be patient, oh, it's coming. And like any of, we've all been there. You know that that's not helpful advice. Hi, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. Today we are starting a new series. Happy February, happy Love Month, Black History Month. So I wanted to do a series this month. Since Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I wanted to make a video series that was kind of like in tune with the theme of love, and particularly for single people, because I know before I was with my partner now, Valentine's Day was like one of the hardest days for me. It was so annoying when I would go to the store. I hated seeing all the Valentine's Day like decor and gifts. Like it was just like one of the hardest days for me, and I just remember so badly like wanting a relationship and wanting to not be single. So I really wanted to create something that was geared toward single people who are in their single season, and not overemphasize, romantic love. So really just the theme of self-love. So this series is going to be called Embracing Self-Love. And so it's for all of my people who, are in their single season or really just like kind of working on like their self-love journey. This is for you. It's just a season, so it will prepare you for the next season of your life. So get comfortable, and we're about to talk about some truths about your single season. And I will say, sometimes it's hard. I should have probably said this in the beginning, but sometimes it's hard for me as a married person to give advice or to talk about things like that, because I don't want it to seem like I'm declaring that I'm a marriage or like relationship expert. I didn't really enjoy my single season. I was so focused on being in the next phase of my life, and when I look back, I'm always like, oh, like, if only I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have. There was this amazing love story waiting on me, so I would have kind of, been more in the season that I was in and cherish that. But okay, let's get into these truths about your single season. So it can be lonely. So I feel like a lot of people maybe look down, or there's always just this idea of seeing everybody else with a partner and relationships, and it can feel isolating. It can make you question yourself, and you start to feel like, what am I doing wrong? Why I'll never meet someone, I'll never find a partner, this will never happen for me. You start to kind of think in like absolutes. And then, from personal experience, there's like a period in my life where I feel like everybody except maybe one of my friends was in a relationship. I used to be like the third wheel to like my sister and her boyfriend, and a younger sister at that. But yeah, it was hard. I started to see people around me getting married, and of course you're happy for these people and you want to see the people around you happy, but it can be challenging when you feel like you're the only one alone. And I really hadn't had what I would call like a serious healthy relationship, so I really didn't I didn't have that experience, so it was kind of hard to see everyone around me have these relationships, and I felt like, I don't know, I started to question myself. I started to think, should I settle? Should I, did I make a mistake by like, cutting off certain connections with people? Because that's another thing that loneliness can lead you into, is this idea of, oh, maybe that wasn't so bad. Maybe I was being dramatic. Maybe, maybe this is my person. Maybe I should you know, give this another try. It'll have you going backwards. And so my new motto, just in life in general, not in terms of relationships, but it can be applied to relationships, is like, you don't go backwards. So you just keep going forward, you learn from the past, and you keep moving. But that loneliness is okay, because it can be lonely. But I think that's also the beautiful thing about your single season, is that just because it can be lonely doesn't mean it has to feel lonely. I think it's a great time for you to spend time with you. You want to be able to be by yourself, because if you can't be by yourself, you're always going to need someone else to be around you and be with you. So you want to be able to be by yourself. And I think that learning how to do that before you get into a romantic relationship will just lead to a healthier relationship. But I don't want it to seem that I'm claiming that I'm a relationship expert, because I'm not. But I do have experience, you know, in relationships, and I can only really go off the experience that I've had. But you know, I do think, because I've seen a lot of videos just about people talking about people in their single season, it's always just like, oh, enjoy it, oh, be patient, oh, it's coming. And like, you know, we've all been there. You know that that's not helpful advice. You know that it's not, it doesn't make you feel good, because it's like, oh, you know, it's coming, just be patient. It's just like, yeah, I get that, but also like, I'm ready for it now. So I get it. And that's mostly really what I want to do with this video, is just like acknowledge and validate those feelings, but also sprinkle in some truths. And they may be truths that you've heard and you're probably tired of hearing, but it is important for you to hear them, because they are true. And when you are out of the season in your life, it'll make more sense. There's like this quote my husband always says, it'll make more sense to you further down the road. It's very true. So yes, it can be lonely, but don't let that loneliness lead you, you know, into something that will hurt you more in the long run. So it's better to kind of just be lonely, be patient, and while you're doing that, nourish yourself, take care of yourself, learn about yourself, but just take advantage of that time, because who knows when who knows if you will ever get time just for you again. You may never have another season in your life that is just strictly about you. You may find your partner, get married, have kids, and your whole life has changed. You know, I know so many people who say, oh, I wish that, you know, when it was just me, then I would have done this and I would have tried this. And you know, people were so focused on where we're going next as opposed to what we have right now. And I am a victim of that. I talk about it all the time, but yeah, I'm always focused on what's coming next and where I want to be instead of where I am right now. So yes, it can be lonely, but that's okay, because we are navigating through the loneliness and making the most of it. And so I kind of touched on questioning yourself, which could lead you back to situations that you may have let go of, or situations that may cause you to settle. You're not wrong for wanting a relationship. I feel like a lot of times there's this idea of like, oh, you should be okay with being alone, but I think it takes a lot of strength and courage to admit that you want to be in a relationship. I mean, that's just kind of the way that we're wired. We need connection and community, and so most of us do want to be in relationships. So I think it's great that you know that about yourself, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. That is something that I found myself doing, to the point where I kind of would be like, oh, okay, like I don't want a relationship. And it wasn't true. And I think that also has to do with the kind of people that you are dating. I don't really like the phrase talking to, but like people that you're dating or that you're interacting with. I know a lot of times that was like the attitude of guys, like, oh, you know, I don't want a relationship, whatever. So I kind of adopted that too, like, okay, I don't want a relationship, when it's like, you know that you really do. So it takes great strength and courage to admit that you want a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think what becomes the issue is fixating on it and making it the sole focus and purpose of your life. When you're going out, you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to meet a guy so I can we can fall in love and have a relationship. And I think becoming hyper focused and obsessed with wanting a relationship is where the issue is. So nothing wrong with wanting a relationship. Hopefully none of you are feeling bad about wanting a relationship. I think what we should also note in acknowledging that we want a relationship is wanting a healthy relationship. So, maybe instead of focusing on, oh, everybody's in a relationship, like I want a relationship, maybe think about the type of relationship you want. What are you looking for in a partner? What do you want to bring to a relationship? What type of partner do you want to be? Sometimes in your single season, it can feel like everyone is a relationship expert, which can be very annoying, which is part of the reason why I don't like to really give relationship advice or talk about relationships. I don't want my marriage to be like, oh, okay, this is, my marriage is the credentials to speak about relationships. Because again, you don't know me, you don't know my marriage. When you are single, honestly, even when you're married, because sometimes to me it feels like, oh, when people, give you marriage advice, it's like, oh, everyone's a relationship expert, everybody has advice. But I think we all have different experiences, and I do think it is important to take in what you can from those experiences. Well, I said this earlier, but just wait, like the person that's meant for you will come. And it's like, I get that, but that doesn't make me feel better. So it's just important to acknowledge that you're gonna get unsolicited advice. And that's annoying. A lot of people feel like single people don't have advice or experience to offer. So I remember seeing quotes about oh, I'm not getting advice from a single person. I'm not getting advice for someone who isn't in a relationship. And I feel like those are some of the most valuable people to get advice from, because just because you aren't in a relationship doesn't mean you don't have experience with the relationship. That our dating histories or, the number of people that we've dated, I don't think that proves one way or another that, someone's advice is more valuable. Which in a lot of cases, there are probably married people who should not be giving relationship advice. Every marriage is not a healthy marriage. Every person who's married is not qualified to be giving anyone advice. We live in a society, especially as women, who kind of look at, society looks at your value, or, will tell you should determine your value by your relationship status. So I think it takes a lot of courage to get out of toxic relationships and, be willing to be by yourself. So that is another truth about your single season. I think this idea that anyone in a relationship is a relationship expert, and, don't look at couples you see on social media, these Instagram couples. They were Tumblr couples when I was younger, but just these social media couples who they look so perfect together, and you call them goals when really you don't know these people. You don't know if they even like each other. The moral of the story is, and what if you never get that time in your life again that you can completely and wholly dedicate to yourself? Well, I hope that this helped validate some of those feelings. So thank you again for tuning into this video. I'm super excited to start this series. Stay strong. Your relationship status does not define you, and you shouldn't find your identity within your relationship status. Very easy for me to say as a married person, I acknowledge that. But please stay strong and know that it is just a season. So thank you again for tuning in, and I will talk to you all again next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.